Hello folks, welcome to session number 9, part 3. Um, in part 1 and 2 we have seen some of the mm, uh, mesh modeling tools and also modeling using curves. In this session we will talk about organizing your scene in different layers and also introduce a few of the lamp types in Blender. Okay, so they work hand in hand, so I'm covering them both together. Okay, so let's get started. Right. Um, all right. So you'll notice that in the default Blender scene we have a cube and a lamp and then a camera. Okay. Now all of these objects exist in layer number 1. Okay. Also, if you look at each of these objects properties, so let's take a look at this lamp and the lamp object properties. You'll notice that this particular lamp, okay, is visible in layer number 1. Okay, so if I go to layer number 2 over here, now these layers over here are what is displayed in the 3D view, and these layers over here specify, okay, this object exists on which layers. Okay, so if I go to layer number 2 in the 3D view, okay, none of the objects show up because these objects just belong to layer number 1. Okay, they'll only display in layer number 1. Okay, alright, so let's move each of these objects into their own layer first. Okay, so I have this cube. Okay, this should always be displayed in layer number 1. I want this camera to always display in layer number 2. So again, notice I am in layer number 1 in the 3D view. So I'll send this camera to layer number 2. Okay, so now this camera will only display in layer number 2. So you'll notice that there's a dot in layer number 2. It means there's an object in that layer. So if I go here, my camera is over here. And similarly, I want this lamp to only be visible in layer number 3. So I'll send it to layer number 3. So now we have each of these objects in their own layer. Okay. Now if I switch to the camera view, okay, so only layer 1 is active, and if I try to render, okay, you get a black cube. That's because the lamp is in layer number 3. Okay, so if you want to render the cube with the lamp in layer number 3, you need to hold down the shift key and click on this layer. So this is one method, okay, of making sure the cube is illuminated by this lamp. Okay, so now if you render, okay, you see the cube. Okay, the other way, okay, is to specify this lamp, okay, to exist in layer number 1 as well. So I basically hold down the shift key and in the object properties click on layer number 1. Now this means that the lamp object exists in layer number 1 and also in layer number 2. In fact, if you move the mouse on the layers, you get the tooltip. Okay, so this specifies the layers the object is on. So now this lamp is switched on in layer number 3 in the 3D view and layer number 1 as well. Okay, and in layer number 2 the lamp is not there, as well as the cube. Okay, so now we don't need to enable this layer, okay, like we did before, because lamp exists in layer number 1 as well. So if you render, it's no difference. Okay, and you cannot select the camera in layer number 1 because the camera is in layer number 2. So shift click this and then you can select the camera. Okay, so that's a quick introduction to moving objects to different layers, okay, and shift selecting different layers in the 3D view and rendering. Okay, now we'll take a look at a more concrete example. Okay, so let me save this file, save as session number, oops, Session number 9, record 4. Okay, all right. Okay, let me open up a new file. Okay, in this file we will in fact remove this lamp. Okay, the default lamp, just remove it. We'll start from scratch, and I'll move this camera to layer number, I mean this camera always will be displayed in layer number 20. Okay, so I just move the camera there. So in my layer 1 I have this cube. Okay, and in layer 2 I will add a monkey. Okay, and maybe rotate. Now if you click R, okay, the rotation happens around the view axis. Okay, uh, if I shift click this layer, right, okay, and select the camera and turn on its axis display. Okay, um, basically every camera, okay, is pointing in the negative Z axis. Okay, now this is the actual camera we use for rendering. Now I'm in the user perspective mode. So in the user perspective mode there is a virtual camera. Okay, now if I select the object and press R, okay, the rotation is happening around its okay, camera, the virtual camera Z axis. Okay, if I press R and then press R, now the rotation is in a trackball mode. Okay, so let me switch to the camera and then press R twice, and let Suzanne point this way. Okay, and I'll move it up like this. Apply subdivision surface modifier and smooth it out. Okay, so I have the cube in layer number 1 and this is Suzanne in layer number 2. Now since I've added Suzanne while I was in layer number 2, if you look at Suzanne's object properties, okay, Suzanne will always be displayed in layer number 2 only. Okay, so Blender will automatically, you know, enable this depending upon in which layer you have added an object. Okay, now let's add a cylinder. Okay, now since I'm in layer number 3 in the 3D view, for the object layers, okay, the layer number 3 is on. Okay, let's move it over here. So basically my Suzanne is there, my cube is here, and I can shift select these to get a hang of where things are in place in space. Okay, that should be good. So we have 3 objects in separate layers. Okay, now let's add a lamp. Okay, in layer number 20. So let's add a lamp. So I'll just add a sun lamp. Okay, so let's start with a sun lamp. Okay, and move it up. uh, for the sun lamp, the location does not matter. Okay, what matters is just the direction. Okay, um, also in layer number 20 I will also add a ground plane. Okay, so that we can see shadows and stuff. So select it, then S to scale. Okay, uniform scale, and let's type value of 15. Okay, and see how the objects are. Okay, I'll need to move the cylinder G Z 1. Okay, and shift F to fly and move the cursor, move the scroll wheel on your mouse to, okay, let's select these two and G Z 1. Okay, so now everything rests on the ground plane. Switch to the camera. Okay, so on layer 20 I have the sun lamp and the camera on the ground plane. Okay, and in layer number 1 I have the cube, layer number 2 I have Suzanne, layer number 3 I have this. Now let's enable layer number 1, 2, 3 and 20 in the 3D view. And where's my lamp? Okay, my lamp is somewhere here. So for a sun lamp, the location does not matter. Okay, so I can just place it anywhere. Let's switch to the textured mode. Okay, and in the 3D view display, let's switch this to GLSL. Okay, so as I said, for a sun lamp only, its direction matters. So to change the direction of the sun, press the R key, and there you go. Okay, just press the R key again, and you can rotate the sun in the trackball mode as we did with Suzanne. Okay, so okay, you can also go to the front view. Okay, go to the front view and ortho, and actually see its direction. Okay, or another way is, let's switch to quad view and box. Okay, so here you can actually change the direction. Okay, cool. Okay, so now the shadows will be in this direction. So let's quickly go to the lamp properties. So this is the lamp object. Okay, the object properties are the same for all the objects. Okay, almost. Okay, in fact they're the same. Okay, except for the mesh object, transparency property is there. For the lamp object, there's no transparency property, but the data, right, the data is different. So for the lamp object, the lamp data. Okay, so we have 5 types of lamps. Okay, so today we will just cover a few of them. I mean, in this part 3 we will cover just sun and the hemi lamp. Okay, um, cool. So I have the sun. Let's turn on the shadows. Okay, by default. Okay, now if I try to render, let me save the file. Session 9 record. Let's save it as 5. Okay, let's render. Okay, you'll notice there's no shadow because we need to turn on ray trace shadow. Okay, now ray trace shadow, right, when you click ray trace shadow, it has some properties. Okay, so let's switch to the render buffer F11 and switch a render slot and then render again. Okay, now you'll notice shadows. Okay, now one thing, okay, this shadow over here is from Suzanne and this shadow is from the cylinder. Okay, for a sun lamp, right, the sun lamp, the sun is very far away from earth. Okay, the shadows appear parallel. Okay, so you'll notice there's no like perspective in the shadows. Okay, so that's the thing about the sun lamps. All right, let's move the camera. Okay, shift F and render again, F12. Okay, there you go. Okay, again, just to demonstrate the perspective of the shadow, if I change it into a point lamp and switch to layer slot number 3 and render. Okay, for a point lamp, okay, there is like little perspective, especially if this object is taller. So let's select this cylinder and frame it. Okay, now I want to select all the top faces of the cylinder. Okay, now all these top faces, right, share same normal. Okay, they're all pointing in the same direction. To select all the faces that have the same normal, you press shift G. Okay, select similar. You can also access it from here. Select. Okay, I keep forgetting this everywhere. Okay, anyway, the hotkey for selecting similar things is shift G and with the same normal. Okay, or you can also say coplanar. So coplanar means all the faces in the same plane. Okay, so in this case, there you go. Okay, it's also selecting the bottom faces. Okay, in the previous version of Blender this used to not happen. Okay, I think this is a small bug, so let's undo and try shift G and coplanar. Okay, so now you'll see that coplanar works fine because only these faces are in the same plane. Okay, these faces are in a different plane. Okay, perfect. And let me move this up. Okay, and switch to the camera. Okay, that's weird. This is toggled off for some reason. So let me just use view. Okay, so this is toggled off. I'm trying to figure out why. Okay, so yeah, if this thing is set to lock, right, lock view rotation inside views, okay, then you cannot switch the camera. Okay, so that's something I found out just now as well. So I can now switch to the camera. So basically now what happened is this front view, okay, switched into the camera mode. Okay, so it's best to just okay, let's it's a little confusing, sorry about that. Let's switch back to toggle quad view. Okay, then we don't need to worry. Okay, it's always there. Okay, now let's fly back a bit, right, and render. Okay, so now you'll notice that with let's scale this up by 3 times. So for a point lamp, okay, the shadows have perspective. Okay, let's scale this. Okay, now you notice that this plane is clipped, so we need to select the camera, go to its data properties and change the clip plane. Okay, 100 meters, so let's move it to 200 meters and then F12. Okay, so for a point lamp the shadows have perspective. Okay, and if I select the lamp and change it to into a sun lamp and switch render slot and then render. Okay, for sun the shadow has no perspective. Okay, the parallel. Okay, that's the main difference. Cool. And now okay, if you want to emulate, so right now you'll notice the shadows are pretty sharp. Okay, if you have like a overcast day, okay, you'll see some blurred shadows. Okay, to emulate that you can increase this number of samples. Okay, let's see F12. Okay, okay, so for a sun lamp this doesn't affect much. Okay, we'll come back to these when we talk about point lamp. Okay, so and then you can play with the okay the sun's okay color. So if you make it yellow, okay, yellow. All right, also for a sun lamp, okay, you can make use of the indirect lighting. So right now F11, okay, we have something called direct lighting. So the light from the sun is falling on these objects and it's illuminating them. Now this particular face, right, is not illuminated by the sun, so it's black, but in reality the light falls on the ground and then bounces off and then illuminates the darker regions also. Okay, so to do that we need to enable indirect lighting. Okay, and in this version of Blender, okay, this indirect lighting will only work if the gather mode is set to approximate. Okay, let's switch to slot 5 and render. Okay, now you'll notice that this face is not dark anymore because light falls on this ground plane and bounces off and illuminates this. So if you compare it with slot number 4, okay, light bounce, no light bounce and light bounce. Okay, and let's go to slot number 6 and fall off, right? So in over here, okay, the light is bouncing off this ground and illuminating uniformly, okay, all along, but normally there'll be some fall off. Okay, there'll be more illumination over here and less illumination over here. Okay, so that can be controlled using the fall off. So let's click on fall off, and let's start with a fall off of 1, see what we get, and the image. Okay. Okay, now one thing about this indirect light, right? Although here you can notice the fall off, okay, so but it's not consistent. Okay, you would expect some light over here and then no light over here, as you see for this object. The reason there is this inconsistency because indirect lighting, okay, makes use of the number of faces on the mesh. So right now for this ground plane, right, there's only one face. Okay, so the shading is not happening properly. Okay, so I need to subdivide this particular ground plane so that there are more faces for the light bounce off and illuminate. So I'll apply a subdivision modifier. Okay, okay, and use a simple subdivision. Okay, a simple subdivision will not round the mesh. Okay, so here it's rounded the mesh. Okay, and at render time use these many faces. Yeah, now let's see the difference. So let's switch back to the last render. So this is our last render, right? Okay, slot 7 with the same values that we used. Let's render. Okay, now you see, okay, this particular face, okay, for the cylinder gets some lighting, and here there's no lighting because there's more geometry. Okay, uh, it's different. So let's move this sun over here. Again, the location doesn't matter, what matters is the rotation. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, and switch to the camera mode, view camera, and switch to slot number 8 and render. What happened? Oh, the angle is more than 90. Okay, if you look at angle, right, so it should be a little less than 90. And view camera, and okay, so anyway, that's a quick introduction to the sun lamp. Now the main thing is, now this particular sun lamp, okay, is illuminating all these objects, right? I have these 3 objects on these 3 layers, and then the lamp on this layer. Okay, so F11, and let's start from layer number 1. Okay, let's start a render. Okay, this is what I have. Okay, just assume, okay, you want to light Suzanne separately with a separate light, and the cube separately with a separate light, and the cylinder separately with a separate light. Okay, to do that, let's go to layer number 1. Okay, in layer number 1, let's add a lamp. Let's add a hemi lamp. Okay, hemi lamp is basically like a hemispherical dome. Okay, so it's like a, okay, 180-degree dome. Okay, and if you switch to the textured mode, okay, okay, and let's change the color of this lamp to say red. Okay, it illuminates okay, it's just illuminating all the faces. Okay, so it's like a hemisphere, right? So basically like this. Okay, uh, let me demonstrate that using the sketch tool. So switch to the front view and ortho. Now every object has this sketch tool, okay, grease pencil, so I can just click on this. Okay, now I'm in the grease pencil mode. Okay, I need to um, hold the D key, and okay, so hemi light will illuminate, okay, all the faces. And let me go to the side view as well and hold down the D key, and like this. Okay, okay, so hemi lamp will basically light all the faces in a 180-degree hemisphere. Okay, so if you change the rotation, okay, again I think the location of this hemi lamp doesn't matter. What only matters is the rotation. So now if I point it upward, okay, now the faces, okay, in the bottom side. Okay, let me clear this grease pencil stroke. Go to the front view. Okay, so for the grease pencil we have this panel here. Okay, this is something new you are learning for the first time. Okay, it's a very nice feature in Blender. So let's delete this now. Since my hemi lamp is pointing up, so it sort of illuminates faces in this direction. So I'm holding down the D key and then left click, drag. Okay, so in the front view and then in the side view. Okay, D key. Okay, again draw, D, and okay, now this hemi lamp is illuminating faces in this hemisphere. Okay, cool. So let's get rid of this. And okay, so I have this hemi lamp in layer number 1 and this cube in layer number 1. Let's turn on layer number 1, 2, 3 and 20 and render. Okay, so let's switch to the slot number 2 and render. Okay, but you'll notice that although the hemi lamp is on layer number 1, it's still illuminating the Suzanne mesh and also the cylinder mesh. Okay, that's because by default a lamp will illuminate, okay, all the objects, okay, that are visible in the current 3D view, okay, based on this selection. Now if I want to restrict this particular hemi lamp, okay, now this hemi lamp only exists on layer number 1. Okay, I can tell this lamp to illuminate objects in its own layer. Okay, so now once I check this particular lamp will only illuminate objects that are on layer number 1. Now which objects are on layer number 1? Only this cube. Okay, the cube is in layer number 1, Suzanne is in layer number 2, and the cylinder is in layer number 3. Okay, now let's switch back to this and go to layer number 3 and render. Okay, now you'll notice, okay, that hemi light is just illuminating the cube, not these meshes. Okay, let's do another test. Let's go to layer number 2. Okay, since in layer number 2, okay, in the 3D view, which is just only visible, if you are in the textured mode, the mesh will appear black. Okay, so you should go to solid mode to see the mesh. Only when we add a lamp will you see the illumination. So let's add another hemi lamp and hemi. Okay, okay, let's switch back to solid, move the lamp. Okay, seems to be a bug. Okay, okay, the GLSL mode, I think I found a bug. Okay, so let's just keep it in multi-texture mode. Okay, so there you go. Oops. Um, just bear with me once. Okay, I came in the texture face mode. Okay, now, okay, still not displaying. It's basically not interactively changing in this view. But anyway, so I have this hemi lamp in layer number 2 and Suzanne in layer number 2, and I want to just illuminate Suzanne, okay, not the other meshes. So I'll select the hemi and choose this layer only, and then select all these, right, and switch to the camera. Sorry about the small hiccups. Okay, switch to the this one, go to slot number 4 and render. Okay, there you go. Now the hemi lamp from layer number 2 only illuminates Suzanne. Okay, similarly I can add go to the layer number 3, okay, and add another hemi. Okay, let's change it into another maybe blue color, and this layer only. Okay, just seeing if it's still okay. Let's add some subdivisions on this. Maybe add a okay. Okay, the thing is, I think I found the uh, issue. Okay, in in order for you to visualize the effect of this hemi lamp in the textured and GLSL shading mode, the object, okay, the geometry object should have a material assigned to it. Okay, you'll notice that my Suzanne mesh doesn't have a material, so that's why in the textured mode and GLSL I don't see the green color. Okay, so I just select Suzanne and add a new mesh, and voila. Okay, okay, now you can visualize. Okay, I'm glad I found this during the tutorial. Okay, cool. So okay, this layer only, and let's select everything, switch to okay. Now switch to the camera. Yeah, so you'll notice the hemi lamps, okay, that are only illuminating the objects that are on that layer. Okay, wonderful. So switch to slot number 5 and render. Okay, again, this is called light linking. Okay, you're choosing specific lights to illuminate objects on specific layers, so you can get different effects. Okay, you can do things like okay, I have this okay, let's use the sun lamp. Okay, I have my main sun lamp right now. The contribution from the sun lamp is both diffuse and specular, right? So let's bring back the buffer. Okay, okay, so the sun lamp is affecting the diffuse and specular property. So let's go to slot number 6 and just say, just toggle off this diffuse and then render. Okay, so you'll notice that the sun lamp is just affecting the shyness on the object. Okay, and it's not affecting the diffuse property. Okay, the ground plane is black because okay, the ground plane belongs to layer number 20. Okay, okay, the ground plane. Okay, now notice one thing. I have okay, that's fine. So let's go to layer number 20. So this layer number 20, okay, there's only the sun lamp affecting layer number 20 object. Since the sun lamp is only affecting the specular property and diffuse is off, in the render the ground plane is all black. Okay, that's the idea. So let's switch this back. Okay, and okay, so that's an interesting thing. And so you notice there is shininess on the cylinder and a little bit of shininess on Suzanne. Now if I reverse this, remove specular and enable diffuse and go to slot 7 and render. Okay, you'll not see any shininess on the cylinder, but the diffuse property is back. Okay, the ground plane is visible again. Okay, let's go to slot number 8, enable specular and render again. Okay, now both the sun lamp affects both the diffuse and the specular, although the specular effect is very subtle. Okay, maybe you can let's turn off the properties and tool shelf, select the cylinder and increase the specular intensity. Okay, and let's change the specular color just for demonstration sake. So let me use uh, green color. Okay, and go to slot number 1. Again, you can just hold on the alt key and scroll the mouse on this to check out all your effects so far. Okay, so okay, now I'm back to slot number 1. I change the specular on the cylinder and render. Again, the effect is very subtle because of this blue illumination. So let's choose this lamp, okay, and change its color to white. Okay, and let's toggle all. Okay, go to slot number 2 and render. Okay, you'll see a subtle green um, specular there. Maybe let me just convince myself. Yeah, so let me use blue, right, and let's reduce the hardness a bit. Okay, you'll notice by reducing the hardness I can visualize the specular. Okay, now let's render again. Okay, yeah, okay, we have a blue specular. It's very harsh, so reduce this and render. Okay, it's a little tighter now. Yeah, so okay, that's about this lesson. Okay, we've learned about in fact quite a few things. Okay, this is a simple example with layers. Okay, uh, the cube in layer number 1. Okay, in layer number 2 there's the camera. In layer number 3 the lamp. Okay, now this lamp exists in both layer number 1 and 3, and the cube exists only in layer number 1. Okay, so that's the first example, and then in the second example we have taken a look at this complex setup. Okay, so I'll make this file available on my website. Okay, so just understand these concepts, because when you set up big scenes, right, you need to manage your shot, okay, by keeping objects in different layers and linking the lights properly. Okay, we have also taken a look at the sun lamp. Okay, and then we have seen the effect of switching off diffuse and switching off specular on and off, and the different effects, so check it out. And also we have seen the hemi lamp. Okay, hemi lamp, and again for the hemi lamp and the sun lamp, okay, the location does not matter. Okay, what only matters is its rotation. Okay, so select the sun, and only the rotation matters. Same thing with the hemi lamps. Okay, so if I move this anywhere, it doesn't affect anything, just the rotation. Okay, and similarly for this. Okay, cool, and change it. All right, so let's do a final render, F12. Oh yeah, and also we have seen the indirect lighting. Okay, so this is with indirect lighting, and if you switch to slot 5, turn off indirect lighting and F12, okay, you'll see the subtle difference. Okay, with indirect lighting, okay, there's some blue light bounce onto the ground. Okay, without uh, indirect lighting, okay, there's no bounce. Okay, and then we also have this fall off, right? So for this render we have had a fall off of 1. Okay, so let's render with a fall off, with basically no fall off, and indirect lighting turned on. Okay, so you notice there's more light bounce, okay, around this cylinder and the cube as well. So this is with indirect lighting and fall off of 0, and this is with indirect lighting and fall off of 1. Okay, and this layer is without indirect lighting. Alright, so just experiment with this. Okay, in the next part I will cover more options for lamps, especially point lamps. Okay, and we will also take a look at some of the basics of shading properties for objects. Okay, so we will take a look at some of these properties to make our scenes render better. All right, thank you.